Guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Doshi, and today for you guys we have another interview with our friend Reddox, whom you may have seen in our previous videos, and we're going to ask him questions related to his business, how it operates, with him traveling, vending at different locations. Let's get straight to it. So guys, would like to introduce you all to Reddox Nostalgia. Thank you for being on the channel, brother. Appreciate
Thank you
your
for having me.
time.
Appreciate it.
So we're going to start off with a very simple question. Please tell us or everyone about yourself and how you started, name, everything, a little background.
Cool. My name is Oscar. I started Reddox Nostalgia probably about 5 years ago now. Oh, excuse me.
Let's start over.
Turn this off. Yeah, you can start over if you want.
Let's start over. No?
It's up to you. It's up to you. It's up to you. I started this about 5 years ago officially. I built an LLC. That's when I started really getting heavy into it. But I've always been a collector my whole life. So this stuff has always gotten my attention. It started with fashion. And then as time went on, I loved neon signs. I loved electronics. And then I got introduced to the video game stuff when I bought a lot. It was about 14 Game & Watch. And one of them was a crystal screen Mario Brothers. And when I looked up the comps, I was like, wow, $800 just for the screen? I had the box, paperwork, even the receipt, which is crazy. The guy was a very tedious collector.
Mm-hmm.
He anytime he bought something, he would put the receipt inside the box. I guess he would play it once or twice and then put it back in the box. So I bought about 14 units for about 900. Sold the Game & Watch crystal screen for $2,000. The panorama of Donkey Kong was about 1,200. And I knew deep down, I was like, this is just a quarter of video games. There has to be more. So yeah, I mean, my focus is video games and clothing, vintage clothing. Those are my two passions. So redox in the chemistry aspects stands for two molecules making a reaction or making something. So Redux to me was unique and nostalgia put together. So that's what my company is, Redux Nostalgia. I also used it for like, it's been that's been, when I first heard it, it always clicked. Like I was a junior in high school and I was like, wow, I like that. So I started like graffitiing a little bit. I would never think that I'd make it my company name. It just, one day I just was like, you know what? I kind of like it. I'm going to do it. And then my slogan one day, I just came, where unique and nostalgia meet. That's my slogan. So that just happened one day. I was like, man, I'm going to keep it. I like that. So the video game stuff and then the clothing and this nostalgia, that's my company. That's what I do. I do a bunch of pop culture, nostalgia, and many more things. Yeah.
That's pretty fire. You put a lot of thought into that.
Yeah.
That meaning for your business, and it represents you completely.
For sure.
That's pretty dope. I like that. I like that background. How would you identify your business?
I identify it as like a platform for anybody who wants to take a trip to memory lane. As you get older, this becomes more significant to your life. I've realized that me personally, when I was in my early 20s, I didn't care about a Game Boy or a GameCube or a PS2 or a Sega Saturn. Like, to me, that wasn't important. As I started getting older and I appreciate it, I realized that everyone has that. Everyone has that one item that takes it back to when you were a kid. And my goal is to help you find it. So that's pretty much what I focus on, my company. Whether it's an antique, whether it's a video game, whether it's a t-shirt, sneakers, audio equipment, music, we all have that one item that makes us feel like a kid again,
Right.
So that's my company.
And when you first started this 5 years ago, what gave you that inspiration to just even sell something in general? Like, when was like that time you said, you know what, I sold this item once, I think I want to be a business owner?
I've always appreciated items. I never thought of it as value. And then as I started realizing the stuff that I appreciated and I held on to, the value started going up. I was like, you know what? There's a little, maybe a window where I can do this for a living, where I'm like, I could have it for a little bit and then make a few dollars afterwards or break even. I'm cool with that. So it kind of started with the clothing. I had an abundance of clothing, and I hate to say it, as I got older, I got a little bit more, around the waist. So the sizes, went from large to XL to 2X. So I was like, I don't think I'll ever be a large again. So when I started realizing that people really liked what I had, I was like, maybe I should devote a little more time into this. It's incredible what people like. People like all different types of stuff. So, but it started with the clothing. That's genuinely what it started with.
From the roots of clothing into video games into much more.
Oh,
Crazy.
yeah. It's the stuff was made differently. That's another reason why I love the old stuff. It was better quality made. You could feel it, even with the clothing, the texture, the heaviness. And then you just take stuff like Sega. Like, I'll tell you right now, I've dealt with so many NESs and Genesis, and a bunch of them Master Systems. They work 85% of the time. But you take the Saturn CD and you take the PS2s and the PS1s. I mean, that's a perfect example of how well these things were made. It's a decade older, and it still works. So that's what I love about the old school. It was built to last.
Right. Yeah, nowadays you would get a PlayStation 4 and your HDMI port's broken, and it's like I hear that common problem in the
That's
PS5s
crazy.
too.
That's sick.
It's like these things just came out 5 years ago and they're already breaking down.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because it takes the fun of going to the store, getting a game with your parent, or getting that accessory for your system. It took all that away because now it's all in online, or you buy the PS5 that's got 2 terabytes, so you don't even have to worry about going to the store and getting some more memory. It's pros and cons to it, but I like the old school stuff, man. Nothing like having
Right.
N64 with 4 of your friends. I mean, now it's like headset, we're playing online together, which I think is still cool, but going over to your friend's house to go hang out.
Right. Yeah, that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
Even the sequels to games back then, today they don't even add those features anymore. So it's a blow. There's no family
For sure.
couch co-op anymore.
Yeah, but time, it kind of like questions me a little bit. Like, man, the VR stuff is becoming so big. I can only imagine what the next 20 years brings with this VR stuff. So it's also, like I said, a pros and cons to it. I think this is just one of those steps where we have to go and keep on upgrading and being better. So hopefully that's what they do. They make it affordable for VR, and I can't wait to see the future, man.
Likewise.
For gaming, it's got some cool stuff's coming out, man.
For sure. Redux, is this business your full time?
At the moment, it is. I do have a part time, just to I bartend during the Thursday Fridays, and I've been doing that for a little bit now. I truly enjoy bartending. I enjoy it because I communicate. I get leads. That's honestly how I get some of my leads. I'm quick to give someone my business card if I see a T-shirt they have, or if I see that they have like a little Mario or anything that I could zoom on, see if they have a collection. I talk to them about it first. I get the feel for it, and then I give them my business card. So a majority of my inventory has actually came from that. So I try to, I guess you could call it an excuse to stay in there, but overall, yeah, I'm at the flea market 3 times a week. And if I'm not there, I'm in here organizing and figuring out what I'm bringing next, or I'm online trying to figure out where's my next sourcing is coming from. So I truly, this is my full time.
When did you decide that it was time for you to take this to a full-time scale?
I had a gentleman. I explained my headache to him, where he said, where I told him pretty much where I'm in a position where I did have a store, and I was working 5 days at the 6 days at the restaurant, and then 5 days at the store. And some guy told me, he goes, "You make 95% of the profit for your other job, and you're only taking home five. With your business, you're netting 95%, and you're taking 95%. Which one do you want to be?" And that kind of opened up my eyes a little bit. I was like, you know what? It's a tough thing to do, but I'm willing to sacrifice a lot to make this work. And luckily, it's been keeping me, in my car, in my apartment. But I want to make this, I want to make it keep growing every year, keep exploring and learning, meeting new people. That's truly the goal for my business. The money hopefully will come, but it really is. I truly enjoy this. And if it gives me enough to pay for my bills, go on a few trips, I'm okay with that. I'm not trying to be a billionaire or a trillionaire. I'm trying to preserve history at the same time, give joy to people, and make a little cash on the side. Best of both worlds.
And as we find stuff, we personally get to learn about new things that pop up. That like we see stuff that is way beyond our time, and we're like, wow, I can't believe it's in that condition.
And you know what's even wild? Sometimes you turn it on and it still turns. It'll work.
It's insane.
Yeah, I've dealt with a lot of items where I'm like, this shouldn't be here. This should be in a dumpster, scrap metal. But luckily, someone saved it or put it in the back of their garage. And for me, it's like I'm that's what I'm searching for. I'm searching for what you got in the back of your garage, what you got in the attic, what you got in the basement, because a lot of these things have been neglected and people don't care about them. But I do, and if something's in the box from the 1980s and it looks great, I'm going to do my best to take it home with me to find it a better place. So that's my thrill. My thrill is just trying to find out, hey, what you got in that storage unit? What you got in that garage? What you got in that basement? Big motivation to what I do every day.
You never know what you're gonna find. Every day is just a treasure hunt.
Yeah.
You just unexpect something that's gonna pop up and it's probably gonna change your life.
And I wish people had more video game stuff, but they don't. So that's why I kind of have to be like, I have to evolve with the market. I got to see what people buy. I got to see what people want. And that's a big part of why I do it the way I do it, because it's like, if no one wants to keep it and buy it, what's the point of doing it? So the video games have been such an awesome learning experience, and also connection wise, I've met so many people. They've been such welcoming arms. You get a few bad seeds that are very aggressive, but overall, the community of the video game people, the comic people, the vintage clothing people, they've all been humble, giving me pointers, making me grow, helping my business grow, my connections grow, and for that I'm thankful.
And with your business, do you have a brick and mortar by chance, like a storefront?
No. When I first started this, I did about 8 shows, meaning pop-up shops. So it was mostly sneaker events and vintage events. And this gentleman, I met a gentleman named Jeff, an incredible guy. He had a thrift storefront in Amityville, and he had like a little room where he was like, I'm renting it. It's $800 a month. Let me know if you're interested. So over a blink of an eye, I was like, I've only been in it for 8 shows. I'm already gonna have like a storefront. So that was scary in its own, but I did it. And I never looked back. And when I started doing it, I was like, wow, this is it's very beautiful to have a storefront. It's very nice. Like anything in life, there's pros and cons. Unfortunately, I wasn't the building owner. The person who was the building owner started like remodeling and eventually kicked us out, you could say. It's still up for grabs and lease, so it's kind of, it shows you how hard it is to make it in the retail market. It's a lot of pressure. I did have like 2 people work for me, with the rent and then the insurance, and then your inventory is very important.
Correct.
It's hard to source good stuff for good prices. So that did give me a little leverage on sourcing, but all good things must come to an end.
Well, at least you got that experience. So if you ever get
Yeah,
the opportunity to take it to that level once again, then you will already know what to do and what not to do. So
yeah.
that's definitely a great experience for you.
Yeah, very grateful for that. And kudos to that's why when people tell me they have stores, I generally do give them discounts because the pressure of it, I know how it is. I know what it feels like. I know, sometimes you have to pay your workers over yourself sometimes. And with that pressure, I kind of give my store. I have a lot of friends that have stores for that reason, and they're one of my best clients. And sometimes they'll pay if they make a little extra. They'll give me a little extra after something sells, of genuine respect. And I, what else can I ask for? I got great people. I made some great friends, including you. When I first saw how ambitious you were, I was like, all right, this kid's got a game plan. A lot of people your age they want the quick route. They don't understand that it's going to take hours and hours of organizing, dealing with stuff, dealing with clients. I mean, clients are no easy people to deal with. Some people switch stuff on you. Some people say it's broken, and they
Yep.
give you, endless amount of pros and cons. But I love it. I wouldn't trade it for the world. You know.
And you brought up a very important point saying that business owners go to you, and it's very that's very important to me because businesses like ours cannot thrive without going out there
For
and
sure.
sourcing.
Sourcing, yeah.
So to be the person that's defined as one hand washes the other is crucial because that person may be looking for those games out of stock, but we have them.
Hmm.
And the only way to the best solution is to offer him that price that he's comfortable with, and next time we see each other, he can do the same favor for us.
Hmm.
So
It's funny because I truly believe in like a scale. Everything will weigh itself out. So it's one way or another. I know it's coming back to me, whether it's the hunt or whether it's, hey, I paid some $2 for it and they gave me $80, or $50. That for me is very crucial in my business, is the transparency and the genuine aspect of it. It's very crucial because if I don't have that, people aren't going to come back. People are going to pass by my booth. They're going to be like, oh, you know what, he did me dirty, or he ripped me off. Like, I take that very, very personal when I do business because I'm as transparent as possible. And if you can prove to me you can get a better deal, or I'll work with you. The lingo is very, very. It takes years to understand what it is to let go for cheap. I was telling you before, if it doesn't sell in 3 or 4 markets in 3 weeks, it's either getting donated or it's getting. You know what I like to do? I'll tell you what I do sometimes. There's always that like one guy who doesn't have a car in Brooklyn. There's a few of them. They don't have cars, but they take their wagon and they're like, yeah, I walked 2 miles to get here just so I can sell. So when I see people like that, I try to give them like a little care package or even buy from them. They're selling $3 or $4 items. They're not selling, $80, $90 items. So what I do is I give them little care packages, and they're so grateful for that. And ironically, people do that with me. My friend owns Lands of Ooze and Oz. He's in Farmingdale. He'll feed me stuff for free, and it's kind of interesting how that works out. Not that I look for it, but it happens. And man, some stuff that I get for free, you wouldn't believe me. You'd be like, no way someone gave you, or you found it on the side of the road. That's a lot of stuff that happens to me where I find a side of the road and it's on the arm and I can just sell it, even if it is $10 at the market. That is, I mean, a lot of people around me, they'll be with me and they'll be like, how did you even spot that? Like, how did you even see? I'm like, I don't know. It just called me. Put it in the car and I'll sell it for $30, $40. If someone offers me 15, I'll take it sometimes, you know?
and that's the reality of what we face as resellers, that buy stuff in such an abundance that sometimes we just have to accept that there's things that probably will never jump off the shelf unless we take the initiative to either mark it as low as we can or just simply get rid of it. And it's hard,
Very hard.
because you can't just pick out the good stuff. You have to take the garbage with it.
Sometimes it's a very tough, and then I realized doing this, even if you have a diamond and it's surrounded by garbage, people are just gonna see it as garbage.
Yeah.
It's a very tough balance to overcome because people, you sometimes you think it's not garbage, and it is. It's the reason why sometimes people are throwing stuff out, but I love it. I love getting stuff for free.
Nothing better than free.
Right? Yeah.
Uh, so I met you in Meadowlands Flea Market, right, in New Jersey. Do you go there every week? And if so, how much does that vending booth cost?
So I go every week. It's every Saturday. Lately they've been canceling because of football and certain events, but all year round, every Saturday, and you gotta be there extra early. I will pay $200 if I could get a spot, that I always get every week and not wait on that line. That line is massive. So I have to be there at like 4:30 in the morning waiting online. The booth is about 120. And I still bartend. So Friday nights I'll get out at like 1 a.m. sometimes, go to sleep for 2 or 3 hours, wake up. But I'm not complaining, but it's tough getting up there early. But when you wake up and you get over that little hump, and then you're going over the bridge, because I live in Long Island, so I have to take 2 bridges. But when you're seeing the sunrise, you got your inventory in the back that people have been asking you for. You making $2,000, doesn't matter. It's just nothing feels better than doing. I love the Meadowlands, I really do. And I also do Belmore by the train station by my side, and I go to Brooklyn Aqueduct on Tuesdays. So that's where you can find a lot of these inventory that I have. Uh, it's pricey. It's $130, $120.
It's a lot, especially
Yeah.
for a flea market where people expect to find stuff as cheap as possible.
Yeah. A good friend of mine says you got to pay to play, so I take that to heart. And everyone has to make the money. If it wasn't for them, making this venue, I wouldn't be making money. The only one venue that I do that's free is in Brooklyn, and that's because I'm on the side of the road, and no one's charging me $30 to be on the side of the road, but there's a risk with that too. Recently the cops actually raided the whole block on Brooklyn Saturdays and Sundays. They confiscated people's cars and their inventory. So a lot of people are living fear with that. That's why I only go Tuesdays, because it's not really that hot. But the Meadowlands and Belmore have treated me very well, very well. And Belmore's $80. So you're in the hole, and then I gotta cross the bridge, gas. I'm in the hole sometimes $180.
It's a lot.
And it's a lot, and also it's kind of nerve-wracking when people don't buy. So you got to play your cards right. You got to know. And my car, unfortunately, is a Dodge Charger. I can't fit much in there. So I got to be very particular with what I bring. What I know is that's why the pressure is always on for me to buy the stuff that people want and sell what people want. Because I'm limited to space. I'm limited to time. I'm limited to a bunch of stuff. So I get straight to the point.
And like you said, with the gas and all these fees, is something like this profitable for you consistently? Like, are the margins well enough for you to provide for everything? Obviously, you're doing this full time, so I'm sure it's going well. But do you ever find yourself like, man, this is really hard. I am struggling this month because the clientele just isn't there?
Yeah, the longevity is so hard to maintain. The consistency is so hard. It's like the stock market. It's a roller coaster ride. 1 minute something, and it's like sometimes the NES can be hot 1 month, and the next month nobody wants to buy it. It's a struggle, but it's worth every bit of stress for me, because I'm doing what I love. It's taking care of my significant other. It's taking care of my bills, and I truly. It's so cliche, because successful people, you gotta do what you love. They're right. They're right on the money. You gotta do what you love, because if you don't do it, it just becomes a chore, or it becomes a what do you call it? A repetitive thing, and then you're just in this loop of the first 3 days I'm happy, the last two I'm like, and with this, it's a constant high of what I'm gonna find, who I'm gonna meet, what am I gonna sell. So I'll take that gamble every day. I really will, and it's stressful. Yeah, I don't like to, I don't like to, first of all, borrow money. I don't like to owe people favors. So it's a lot of prideful stuff. So sometimes last 5 years has been a roller coaster ride, but like I said, we're still rocking. We're alive. We're not 6 feet under, and we're preserving history.
5 years in.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully another 50, man.
And like selling at flea markets, right? With these profit margins and all these percentages, and yes, you find stuff for cheap, but what do you do when people lowball you? Because obviously there are plenty of people that will go to you and ask 50-70% off of that item because they don't think that you're fully aware of what you have.
So as I've been doing this, I've been trying to be like a chameleon and go with the environment and flow with it. um I don't want, I'm not bragging, I can be a loose cannon, I could be short fuse at times, but as the time goes on doing this, I realize that it's part of the business. And what you can do is you can just, if when you detach that and you realize that people are just going to be people, and when you detach that kind of like that disrespect, because it's a little disrespectful. I tell you 200 and you're like, oh, I'll give you $80. It's a little disrespectful, but at the same time, you can't take it like that because you're always going to have that. And it's an offer, and they're not taking it for that offer. So why get it? Why get upset? So it took me a very long time I'm still working with that. Like the other day, I had a boombox. I showed him that the CD worked. I showed him that the tape worked. I showed him that the radio worked. I showed him that the Bluetooth. He made me take 20 minutes out of my time. He knew the price right away, and he didn't even offer. He just walked away. And it kind of hurts me still. Like it irks me a little bit, but it's one every 100 people that do it. So I'll take the odds. But it's tough. And I know my prices are very, very affordable. And I'm very transparent about that. So I stick to my guns.
Trust me, if you weren't fair, I wouldn't be buying from you.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I
insane.
really, it's part of the lingo. It's part of the tango, I call it. The tango between the buyer and seller.
And it's good to be a very fair business owner, that is willing to help others succeed as long as you know you're winning and the other person is also a winner. So there's no loss.
Very few people see it like that. Everybody wants to win, of course, and everybody wants to be on top, but there's always going to be someone better than you. There's always someone going to have a better deal that you got. There's always going to be a business that's going to be bigger and more profitable for yours. So if you start to focus on your lane and your margins and your sourcing and your what your lowest is and what your highest is, everything comes naturally. It's very rare that I don't get a deal done. It's very rare. If it's most of the time, it's because people don't have the funds and they're just they just want to see. And I'm that person sometimes. So you start figuring out, okay, I don't want to bang this person over the head with this, but I can make $20-$30, whatever. And they can make an extra 30, 40, 50. Cool. At the end of the day, you got to keep it moving.
Do you think, so actually, before I've asked that, do you buy storage units by chance, or do you only source from people that have collections, things like that?
I've been thinking about doing the storage units. Me and wifey have been talking about it. Because the people, my peers, the people that come around me, and that all are buying units. 85% of them are buying units. Very, very little people are actually out there sourcing the way, most people source. So when I look at them, I'm like, I'm gonna consider it. But remember how we talked about garbage and this last stuff that gets. It's stressful getting rid of the garbage. Just as hard it is to sell the good stuff, because nobody wants it and you got to pay to get rid of it. So the way I source is I look for something particularly I like. I do a little research. If the price is right, we can work with a price. I'm your customer. If not, there's always another deal somewhere else. So, but a majority of my sourcing comes from the flea market, believe it or not. A lot of times I'll buy something in one flea market and I'll sell it in the other flea market. So people don't know how I got it. That's my little secret, whatever. It's all good. But most of the time you'll see me sell something that I got at the Meadowlands in Belmore, or you'll see me sell vice versa, My strategy has been changing a little bit. I've been trying to be more direct to the person wanting to sell. So it's not easy, but we doing it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Um, do you sell online besides
Believe it
vending?
or not, I don't sell online.
Really?
Oh man.
Oh no. Okay. Guys,
Um
we are in a storage unit.
yeah, this does happen. Um no, and I'm gonna get a lot of a lot of people have said you're an idiot, you're dumb. Like everything, pros and cons. The one thing that online does is it doesn't allow you to meet your consumer. You're just taking something and you're pretty much selling them something, and that's it. You're over and done, man. You might, but you know nothing about them. You don't know what they've been doing. You don't know what they collect. So me doing like in-person sales, what happens to me is it allows me to know my client. It allows me to know what they're looking for. If I see it, I know who to call. You know, I've done that with, I FaceTimed you when I got that little
Right.
lot of Game Boys. So I always do that at least once with somebody, that I meet with my new when they're new to my space. So that kind of is the reason why, and also the fees these people are taking, man. It's such a it's such a buyer friendly. Most things aren't seller friendly, so that kind of annoys me a little bit about the online. It's always buyer friendly, and the sellers, they're just like whatever. If someone switched something on you, I hear these horror stories of people getting stuff switched.
Yeah.
People getting returns or claiming that they didn't get it and they did get it. And let me tell you, since doing the flea markets, I've had 2 returns. And when I was doing online eBay and auctions, I lost count how many returns I had, or how many problems or invoice or certain things. So I look at that overall and I realize, like I said, everybody has their own ways of selling stuff, but I just love the flea market. It really is one of those experiences where I can sell something and then source. You can't do that online.
Yeah,
It's harder,
It's a 2-in-1 combo. And I like that your core values are very simple but very powerful. You sell what you love. You want to meet the people you're selling to. You want to build good relationships. You don't. It's not about the money. As long as you can pay your bills, you are happy. The greed does not overcome what you do, and that's why you are very fair with your pricing. That's why you negotiate, you haggle. It's a very, very fair business model.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of respect for you
Appreciate you,
and your
brother.
business, bro.
Thank you.
Because I strive. Now I just started doing this full time to not let greed overcome my emotional decisions. And it's very important to be as close to your competition, quote unquote competition, as possible. In the end, everyone should be a team because we're all in this together. You can't source without the other person having it.
It's cool that you mentioned competition, because what happens with competition is it's a friendly. I have a lot of, like I said, I have a lot of friends that are store owners, and the competition is awesome. But you're right. At the end of the day, it is a team effort. It's something where if you're gonna be in here and you're gonna try to outdo everybody, guess what? There's someone doing it way better than you, who's been in it way longer than you. So if you're gonna try to compare, you're gonna see yourself having a hard time enjoying this, because 10,000 hours, you can't get that in 1 hour or 1 month, or these are hours that people go to figure stuff out, to source stuff, to do their research and sell it. So it's a marathon for me, and I love my competition too. They make me want to get up. What happens a lot is I do get a little like, damn, I wish it was me, but then I'm like, good for them. But it makes me like, let's see what we can find out there. Builds a little fire underneath you to keep on going.
And you, like, when I bought from you previously, right? You mentioned like you do consignments. Like, how does that benefit you? How would you describe that entire process?
Consignments is interesting. I used to do auctions online, and that was my main source of income, was my consignments. The problem, like I said, there's pros and cons to everything. The problem that I had with consignment was everybody thinks they have gold in some aspects. There's an item. At the end of the day, it's what someone's willing to pay for it. So it was hard to put that on paper for people. It was hard to start an item. Like I would start stuff at $1. And let's say something was worth $300. I mean, sometimes I would still put it at $1. At the end of the day, people know the value and they're gonna fight for it. So that consignment has been a little really hard battle, but if you're transparent and we come up with numbers, the way I do it now is I'll take 40%, you take 60, and we'll come up with a number. You give me your lowest and you give me your highest. Of course, I'm gonna start with your highest. And if I can't give it to you in the next month or two, then I can't sell it for you. So that's another thing. People are like, I think I have gold, and they'll try to give it to you for you to sell it right away, but it's not that easy. So if a person's patient and is not, well, I'm here for you. I could be a middleman. I don't mind it.
Right, you're getting paid and you're not really paying for the
Yeah.
inventory. You're just putting in
I really think that's the future of reselling. I mean, it's been the future of reselling, but I truly think it's as the market keeps on increasing, as people start wanting to downsize, it's because everybody's gonna want to downsize. I'm telling you, especially these collectors that have doubles and triples, and eventually there's gonna come into your life where you can't take it with you. You've enjoyed it for a certain amount of time. It's time to maybe get rid of your second and third ones. So consignments, I think, will be a very big thing because then you get to see what everything's selling for. It's very rare that you find the people. I mean, there's a lot of them where they have deep pockets and they'll buy the whole thing for $20,000, like a Star Wars collection or something like that. But very few in between, and you got to make it make sense to them. Like they got to see, hey, I can make 60,000 if I'm putting 20,000 down. So the tango is very, very hard when you're talking those type of margins. So consignment, I really do think people should try to get more people to team up. Teaming up is a really good thing. You get two people trying to sell it. Sometimes it's one, but it's one other person has the items.
When you do a consignment, right, and you take it to the flea market, stuff like that, do you ever have problems selling a high dollar item when the other person that actually owns the item doesn't want to go to a specific number?
Yeah, that's why before we talk, before I even take anything, I used to actually have people write contracts because when I was doing the auctions, not now. If I'm doing consignment, you gotta trust me and I gotta trust you, because if you're a little weird about that, then we're not gonna work. We can't work. Business, you gotta trust me that I'm gonna give you what you're asking for, and you gotta help me what your lowest is. So when you talk about items that are $1,000, $1,200, it's very rare you're gonna find a person coming to you to drop $1,200. So if maybe 7, 8, sure, I think people are more considerate of doing that. But as long as you're transparent and you trust me, we'll get it done.
Have you ever dealt with a bad partner?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's very nasty. It's a big reason why I stopped doing the auctions. The one thing I'm not gonna take is I'm not gonna be called a liar and a thief. So that's kind of where the situation. It's only one, and that one individual ruined it for my other consignments. And the way it escalated, it kind of made me say, if this is one person, there's gonna be 3 or 4 of this, and I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to deal with people who don't trust me. Who don't want me to sell them stuff for a certain price. It's not gonna work, and it was a very nasty thing. And luckily, I'm an adult and he's an adult, and we ended up talking about it, and we worked. And I still buy from him, but I'll never do business in the sense of consignment with anybody unless I truly know you, trust you, and you're legit.
Right. Yeah, it's tough, especially when it comes to money. It's just very, very. It's all about greed, to a lot of people. So it's just best just to stay away from.
Yeah, the numbers, people, you can't. Not everybody can be humble. Some people are cutthroat. It's about the numbers and about the money. And honestly, I kind of like those people, because they're ambitious and they have faith in their product. They have faith in what they have. So I try to deal with them, but it's an ego thing too, man. Ego is a very big thing, and that's a lot what I deal with when it comes to dealing with resellers and even the clients. You know, their ego gets involved.
What I like about your business, right? Because you sell at all these different pop-up locations, right? What stands out about your table, one, you put the banner in front of your table all the time.
I should put it on here.
Other people, are from home, they want to get rid of their stuff, like a garage sale. They pay for that spot. They're just there for one day for their whole life trying to get rid of all that junk. Or you got the people that are there every single week selling the same junk. But you focus on stuff that will sell. You don't, you know what I mean? A lot of people have all this stuff lying around, but you set your booth up like an actual store.
Yeah. I take a lot of pride in that. And yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because not a lot of people mention that to me. A lot of people say, wow, you're cool. Your booth is probably one of the coolest, but I truly take a lot of pride in that. I really do.
And to you, why do you think it's so important as an owner to make your table look as organized as possible, especially with all of those booths around you? Like, why do you think you should stand out the most when you set it up your table?
When I do that, my goal is to, presentation of the items is very key. I learned it in retail when believe it or not, I used to work at Coach, the handbag store, and I learned a few pointers of their retail sales, and a bit of it is product placement. When a product is looked nicely and it's well shown, people, that doesn't necessarily mean they're gonna buy it, but they're gonna turn their head and look at it. And a big thing of me is I always like to bring some item that stands out. Whether it's, most of the time it's music related. I love boom boxes. I love audio equipment, because it sets the vibe. People hear the music, I know you've seen a few, I know you even had to cut some stuff out of your video because of the music, but it sets the tone. It lets people wander around a little bit. And also my space of my car, I can't stress that enough. That's my goal for next year, is to get a big Sprinter van or something in that nature. But I'm limited to space in my car, so it's very crucial for me to bring something that I'm gonna sell and that I'm not gonna bring home with me. So I need to bring the cool stuff, and I need to bring, the atmosphere. That people tell me all the time, like, yo, why'd you turn off the music? And I'm like, oh, my battery died. They're like, oh, it set the mood. I like it. Vendors tell me this. People, they're like, you bring the energy. And I'm like, thank you. I take a lot of pride in that, because this is what I do. This is what I need to do. And I want to stand out. I don't want to be surrounded by junk and then my stuff become junk. I want to stand out, and I take a lot. I appreciate that. I do take a lot of pride in that.
It takes a lot more work than people, it's all about consideration and how you represent yourself. When I'm at your table, I don't feel like I'm at a flea market anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm just focused on your table, all the vintage, all the electronics. It's cool stuff, and that's like, it sets it apart so much from everyone else.
For sure.
People got bins on the floor. People got tools, rusty tools all over the tables.
Believe it or not, I try to do it. I back to the where unique and nostalgia meet. I view one side as the high end side and the one side as the more affordable side. They merge. So you'll see some stuff on the floor and in bins that I'll have, and people will know right away it's $2-3 items. But stuff on the table displayed nicely, I try to tell them, a little bit more money. If you can't afford it, I got a little budget friendly side over here. So I want everyone to feel like they can come to my booth and honestly buy something. And it's crucial to make it feel like that.
Have you ever felt like you had to stop doing this because of a bad month or a bad couple of months consistently in sales?
Nah, I'm married to the game. It's blood in, blood out. It's one of those where I genuinely think I'll be 60 going to the flea market. I generally think no matter how much money is in my bank account, no matter how much people, no matter what it is, I genuinely feel like I'll always be going to it for the simple fact that it's like I make money and I source and I make connections. I mean, those are three things that people will do anything for their business, do anything for their career, honestly. So it's like I got to do it. And if I hope I never get that in my, physical is very important, of course, so maybe that's the only way I can see myself not doing it. But until then, it's until I can't do it no more.
As long as you're confident in yourself, a lot of people, a lot of resellers sell all their inventory at once because they say that they're done. They sell their entire eBay. Yeah, you know how many marketplace listings I see that they're just saying that they're selling their entire eBay store because they're done.
Yeah.
I think there's so much of that going on right now because certain things just aren't selling anymore and that person isn't adapting to the market. But it also creates a negative mentality of you not being able to change when it just has to take a little bit of research to really adapt. Like, how fast do you think when you see something that's not selling, right? And you say you donate it, you give it, for so cheap, but like, how many times have you said never again?
I've probably said it once, and that's with the consignment thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a lot. That one little altercation really, it struck a nerve because I don't like being called a liar and a thief, especially when I'm not doing, and I couldn't defend myself. Like he was just, it becomes where you let them win, but you gotta not humble yourself. You gotta be at peace. Everybody pursues happiness. Happiness is a roller coaster ride. Keeping the peace is what's truly the hardest, and what I try to accomplish. I just want to be at peace with what I do and with what I love, and this gives it to me. Nothing should interfere that peace, whether it's my relationship, whether it's my family, whether it's customers or resellers. No one could defeat that peace. So when I do this and I look at my inventory, the biggest problem I have sometimes I'll look at my unit and I'm like, man, I don't have enough stuff. And I kid you not, 3 days, I'm like, damn, I got too much stuff. So that's probably the only negative thing in my decision to doing this is that sometimes my inventory is a little low, which right now that's how I feel. But I'm maneuvering for the spooky season, October, November, September, October. So I have so much plenty stuff that now I'm focused on my Christmas and New Year stuff. So that's where I'm at. That's the only stress that I truly feel about this. When it comes to selling and making connections, breeze. But keeping up with the inventory, it is the most stressful thing.
It's the moneymaker.
Yeah.
Can't do anything without inventory.
And you dry out your sources sometimes. You go to a thrift store and it's the same stuff for the last 2 weeks. You go to a estate sale and all the good stuff is sold. You go to a yard sale and there's not really much left. So it's a very tough battle, but there's a lot of inventory out there.
Yeah, there is.
You gotta go chase it.
For sure. And for someone that wants to get into this entire industry, right? Because I have an online store, completely separate business model from you. You sell in person. Yes, I just started getting into like conventions and shows, stuff like that, but it's not in my realm to consistently do that. Probably once a month, twice a month, depending on the show, of course. But this is your life. Would you recommend anyone else to go pursue what you do?
For sure. If you have passion, if you have knowledge, you have love, and and everything that I went with before, you're transparent, you're trustworthy, we can work. You can work. This stuff it's a learning curve. It's like anything. You're not gonna get it right away. You're not gonna understand it right away. But what you are gonna do is you're gonna disrupt your daily task. You're gonna disrupt your algorithm of your life. And when you do that and you take that leap and you see the pros that come with it, you're gonna be like, I wish I did this sooner. Part of me says that sometimes. I'm like, man, I should have. When I was running the store and working at the bar, I was like, man, I should have just gone with the store. But cliche, everything happens for a reason, and I'm forever grateful for that. I'm actually happy I don't have the store. That I don't have to worry about the rent. I don't have to worry about my my closing early so I could go to the restaurant and work. So it's been a roller coaster ride, but just like anything, it takes time.
And what is your advice to someone that does want to get into this?
My advice is my advice is just keep keep your goals, uh keep your goals in check. Every time you get a goal in, make sure you're looking at your other goals. um this business is like anything. Some people last 5 years, some people last 50 years. Some people only do it for 2-3 years, and then they're like, this ain't for me, and it's okay to be in that aspect. But just go get it, go do it. You only got this one life to live. Nothing is promised. You may not even see tomorrow. And those what ifs can kill a person. What if I did this, what if I did that? And there's not a lot of what ifs in my life. I did a lot of things, and I'm very grateful for that. A lot of stuff has, even my fears, I've conquered fears, I've conquered what ifs. Now it's time to grow and elevate. And one day, you too, man, you'll see 2-3 years from now, you're gonna have such a different goal set, such a different mentality. The growth is beautiful.
It is. It is. I've been doing this for 2 years, and I can't believe the fact that I'm sitting in front of you.
You got a good team with you, man.
Yeah, I do.
So that's something that a lot of people lack. You got to have a good team. You don't have a good team. My team is so good to me that I feel like I'm taking advantage of them. So I try to stay, in their shoes, put myself in their shoes. We all have different lives, so keeping them in check, keeping myself in check. What else can I ask for? Of course, the bank account you gotta keep in check,
Yeah.
But that comes, I've had some months where I'm like, man, I'm stressed. I'm like, man, I got 300 on the unit. I got another 180 for the Wi-Fi. I got myself my car insurance, my bills, and I'm like, man, I only have $100 in my bank account. And then 2-3 days, it's tripled, what I wanted. And it's like, where else can I do that? I can't do that in my bartending job. I can't do that at a 9 to 5 because you're limited. With this, 1 minute you could be down, the next minute you could be up. You just got to remember how it feels to be in each side, and you got to stay, to the ground. When you're winning, stay to the ground. When you're losing, stay cool too. Stay to the ground because it can get ugly.
My final question: what's the next step for you? Where do you see yourself taking it to the next level?
My step is to grow my networking, grow my items, my knowledge for items too. That's honestly what I want. I truly believe there's going to be a deal out there that's going to change my life. It might be a comic book, it might be a video game, it might be a system, it might be a vintage shirt. So that's what I'm chasing. I'm chasing that 1 or 2 items that change my life. So my goal is to expand my networking, expand my inventory, and maybe even expand like where I go. I've traveled to Connecticut, I've traveled to Delaware, maybe go more west. See what they have out there, because that's a whole, man, the West Coast has so much stuff. It's nuts.
It's hard for us in the East Coast.
It's crazy stuff what they got over there. Mid even the Midwest in the United States, there's some stuff that, like, they're in barns piled with dust, waiting to be save me, sell me, save me and sell me, so it's like, that's what I'm banking on. I'm banking on trying to find that item. Until then, you'll see me selling $105 items. You'll see me selling everything in between.
Well, I appreciate everything that you said. I love that you have the passion of what you do. You are very comfortable with it.
I am.
There's no
Love it.
doubt. You're confident, and you love networking. You have such a good support system behind your back. And nothing can beat that, especially when you work for yourself.
For sure.
You don't have to rely on someone else but yourself.
For sure.
You know, you gotta take that initiative. You take it there. You are the, how do I say it? You control your life, and there's nothing more important than that. So, I appreciate your time. Everything that
my
you've
brother,
told us.
thank you. Part 2 is gonna come in maybe 2 years. You'll see.
Oh, for
We're
sure.
gonna be. You might see me in a storefront. I'm over here talking all this smack about storefronts and how hard it is. You might see me in one. You know.
And you'll be in a video.
Yeah, my brother. Thank you for having me, man.
Thank
I
you.
love the channel. I love what you do, and keep grinding, brother.
Appreciate you, bro.
My brother.
Thank you. Guys, I hope you all enjoyed today's video. Got a lot of information on what it's like to be a vendor full-time. Very inspiring. A lot of information given. You know, if you guys want to pursue this, listen to his words, do what you love. And we're going to show off all his information inside the description. Click on the link if you guys want to give him a follow. Hit him up with a DM if you want to sell some collections. And see him at the Meadowlands every Saturday. Guys, remember to plug into Nostalgia with Doshi. I'll catch you all later.